Assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. We certainly are busy in the office, lots going on as usual, lots of chaos, and we love it that way. Organized chaos, of course. How are you? If you just joined us for the first time, thanks for joining us. This is Ken at 10. We are James Alexander Estate Agents. We broadcast daily about the property market and anything that we find inspiring, really, in terms of new property information, what you should be doing, hints, tips, and tricks. Don't forget, we've also got the podcast. Just search out for the Property Buyer and Sellers podcast on iTunes or your favorite platform. So let's talk about the property market. Here in SW16, generally what we're finding is not enough stock when it comes to rentals and not enough stock when it comes to sales. Very much at the moment, landlords, we're finding rents are increasing and there's a huge demand from tenants where I think a lot of landlords have taken the confidence that's been building over the last year as a good time to offload, especially with the additional tax burdens with Section 24, where landlords can't offset their interest payments against their rent. This has been quite a shock as landlords have done their tax returns in the last couple of years, and a lot of them have chosen to pull back from the market. This has led, particularly here in SW16, to a shortage of quality accommodation for young professionals coming into the area. We've always got a good supply of young professionals, and at the moment it's just quite frustrating because we just don't have enough stock to provide them with decent homes, and we'd love some more, please. So if you are thinking of rental or you just want to know what it's all about, always give us a call, because rental is something that's not right for everybody. If you're maybe frustrated and you're not sure why your property's not selling, love to help you with that. But if you're thinking of a complete 180-degree turnaround and renting, then let's have a discussion about that as well, because the two areas are so different. And I always say that you've got to be the right kind of personality that can decathect or detach yourself emotionally if you're going to let out a property, particularly if it's been your family home, because this can be a real struggle for some. I find some people are just not right for renting out their home, and it's better that they sell. And also the type and style of your property, depending on where you live. Some properties are far more popular and easier to rent than others. So we need to have that conversation too. So aside from that, let's look at today's news. House price inflation. This is an article in Sky News today. The new analysis of data shows that it's becoming increasingly difficult to buy a home, especially for people in parts of the country on the lowest incomes. Krishan Shah, researcher at the think tank, the Resolution Foundation, says that house price inflation has outpaced wages since the 80s. Only 4% of people between the ages of 25 and 34 have enough savings and earnings to access the typical first-time buyer property. He says the Southwest is the region with the highest annual house price inflation and rent inflation, closely followed by the east of England. Then the Welsh Coast experienced the highest level of inflation at almost 33% over the past 2 years, despite being in the bottom third of local authorities for average weekly wages. There's a real conflict there, isn't there? You've got areas with low average wages and then people coming in, snapping up for holiday homes perhaps, or now especially Zoom commuting, and taking away that space from local people. That's a real difficult quandary and a difficult square to circle, really, or circle to square. I think that one of the solutions should be that a lot of these housing should be these housing malls could be made in shopping centres where we've got so many vacant units now. Such a waste of space, and they should be allocated. A lot of them could be converted. A lot of vacant shops out there as well could be converted into resi, and they could provide for local homes perhaps. Rents rise to record levels. On the same topic, really, again, bad news if you're looking to rent, good news if you're a landlord. Private rents in Britain are rising at their fastest rate on record. I think this really dovetails with my last comment about a lot of landlords taking the opportunity of a busier market to sell up, especially against the adverse tax environment if you're letting as an individual rather than limited company. Of course, you do it as a limited company, different thing. You can get around the rules, but that's a whole other day's chat, really, something for the podcast, I think. The average rent outside London is 9.9% higher than a year ago, according to Rightmove. Meanwhile, London rents have hit new records and are now higher than before the start of the pandemic, after a bounce back in demand fueled by people coming back to work and the gradual return of people coming back into the city. The average advertised rent outside of London is now £1,068 a calendar month. It's a huge amount for young people to find, isn't it? And in London, wait for it, sit down, hold your breath, it's now averaging, the average asking rent, £2,142 per calendar month. Tenant demand is 32% higher than this time last year. The number of available properties is down 51%. Rightmove also named the number of rental hotspots that's seen typical rents increase by between 14 and 20% in a year. And these are outside of London. They're Kent coastal towns, Ramsgate, Chatham and Folkestone. Other locations such as Ascot in Berkshire and Bridgewater in Somerset have also seen big jumps. The website's predicting another 5% increase in average rents this year. That's shocking, isn't it, if you're trying to get on the ladder? But it does go to show that rents generally only go one way regardless of the economic situation. Kensington Bank is going to be carved into two. Apparently, it's going to split its specialist mortgage lender arm. And Kensington's always been known for those difficult mortgages. And it's interesting to see there's so much interest in that sector because these people, they do charge more, but they do allow people that otherwise couldn't obtain mortgages to get on the ladder. They specialize in the self-employed, over 55s, and consumers with multiple income streams. On the market, the third portal, as many of you will know, is now quite prominent and it's exceeded its expectations for the year. So it looks like that one is managing to stay the course against the Goliaths that are Rightmove and Zoopla. Interesting that. You'll find us on all three. I think one of the reasons on the market's been successful is because they offer a certain valuation tool that's very useful to agents, and agents have seen that as a value part of subscribing to their service. I'd like to have a chat with them, actually. I'll see if I can get them on here for an interview. Dozens of blocks still have Grenfell type cladding. This is a frustration. 40% of the buildings since Grenfell in England have the same type of cladding and have not been made safe yet. And that's 481 buildings that have been identified. It's terrible, isn't it, that they're still out there and still in that same situation. You wonder what, you would say, well, what's it going to take? And you would think Grenfell was what it took. And yet still we have this huge issue. Who are the most unhappy workers in the world? In the UK, rather. It's estate agents, apparently. Not in our office. At least that's what my staff tell me anyway. After some 1,800 organisations across 25 different sectors were surveyed as part of Indeed's Work Happiness Score, those working in the UK estate agent field were found to be the least happy. It says, while many workers are unhappy, there are reasons for optimism. An overwhelming majority of people believe happiness at work is possible. And while some sectors are more satisfied than others, we know that happiness is possible in all workplaces. It certainly is. And I think we're a very happy workplace. And I think that the testament to that is the longevity. We're very proud that all of our staff have been with us for years and years and years, many decades. For some, including me, that's hence the loss of hair. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. I come to work every day and I love what I do. I love meeting people. I love the cross-section of people I meet. I love the fact that we meet everybody from council workers sweeping streets right up to big corporate landlords with many millions in the bank. And I always find that the diversity that we come across in this business keeps me alive and keeps me really interested in the business. It's always interesting to see what challenges people face, and they can be so different from one end to the other. And it also keeps you grounded as well, I think. So contrary to what they say, I think estate agency is a great business. If you're a young person thinking, is it a business for me? It might well be. Are you a people person? Do you like people? Are you interested? Do you know how to really, really listen? Because estate agency is not really so much about talking. It's about the ability to deeply listen and understand what people are about, what they need, what they want, and how you can help them with that. And I think that's the thing that a lot of agents miss. They think it's about talking, the smart line, or what my colleagues would call slick Rick, the slick Rick of estate agents. I hope we're never that. Really listening to people, trying to understand what their needs are, what their wants are, and then relating that back and selling in a way that they understand, relating the features of a property perhaps back to a need that they have. But most importantly, it's about understanding what people need to achieve out of their move. Sometimes the most significant thing is actually not the sale, not even the price. It's the move upwards. And the assistance between those two things, the bridge between those two things, is us as agents. And I'm always very proud of doing that, and also very humbled that people trust me with their biggest asset. As a small independent, I think that's a fantastic thing, and it's never lost on me. And I always try and do my best, whoever we've got on the market, whatever their circumstances, however difficult they may be. Our job is to work for them, have their backs in an ethical and upright manner. Most importantly, never breaching our ethical code, which is be honest, be real. That's what we're about. So that's it for today. We've got a busy day on valuations. The weather here in SW16, a little bit warmer, no sunshine yet. I'm promised sunshine this afternoon according to the weather forecast. I've yet to see it. I hope so. Hope you have a fantastic day so far. As always, look after yourselves, and if you can, your family and friends. We'll be back same time with another show tomorrow. Until then, ciao.